Welcome along to the Army List Analysis series, and we are back with the Roman 105 list. And this is one of the most popular armies in the league. I think I mentioned the other day that out of all of the Roman armies, the two that players tend to like to take out are the Roman 199 list, which I've already covered. I covered that. It's one of my first videos, in fact. And this one, the Roman 105 list. So let's have a look at it together. The core of this army are the mighty Roman Legionnaires. Look at them, huh? They look mean. Now, we've got 10 of them. Now, this is the base build. This is with no allies. And I had a look at what people were taking out. I had a look at the allies. There's at the moment in season 12 of the league, 4 players have taken out this list, and there was no agreement about allies or whether to take them or not. Someone's taken out the Armenian allies, someone's taken the Numidian, someone's taken no allies, and then another player has taken the Galatian list. Now, for me, when I had a look, the Armenian, they just give you more cataphracts, and the cataphracts aren't, for me, in classical, they're not that great. They don't do so much for their price. They're at 68, I think, aren't they? And and you only get a few of them, so they're not really, for me, it's not worth taking the Armenians out just for those units. Armoured lancers, essentially. Numidians, you just get a lot of light horse and horse archers. So nothing really that would make me want to take them as allies. And the Galatian is now that was pretty close because you get warband and you get also some imitation legionnaires. So you think, we got some mid-tier units, because really we've just got the legionnaires, the veteran legionnaires, then we go down to a few of the raw legionnaires and mediocre legionnaires. So at first my thought was that maybe it would be quite nice to take out the Galatian list, but with all of these allies, the problem is you just get less of the really good units. So we went down to 7 legionnaires with the Galatian list, and we've got 10 here. And then you had 5 warband units, but then I had 2 of the mediocre Roman legionnaires, and here I've got 4. So overall, I would prefer to take 10 legionnaires out instead of 7, and 4 of the mediocre Roman legionnaires instead of 2. And the raw legionnaires were the same, and the veteran Roman legionnaires were the same as well. So for me, and there was 1 less cav. I had an extra noble cav. So when I factored in everything, and I felt that it was just better just to take 10 legionnaires, because they are pretty mean. They're superior quality armored impact foot. We've all played against the Romans. They're like tanks, really. The other thing to consider, I think it was the Roman 199 list I took out a couple of seasons ago in the league, or it might have been one of the later lists. And in my opinion, anyway, sometimes in the league we change points. Classical, it really has always been around 1600. But I think late antiquity, it's jumped around a little bit from 1200 to 1600. And the Romans always seem to prosper when the points are high. And why? It's because you can take out more legionnaires. If I've got 10 here, plus 2 of the elite level veteran Roman legionnaires, plus, these sort of substandard legionnaires as backup, it's a pretty awesome army, really. So at 1600 points, I would always want to take the extra legionnaires. That's just me personally, in my experience playing with the Romans. So Also, I was doing some tests and I had a look at the Legionnaires. I mean, obviously I knew they were good troops, but I thought, well, what are the actual numbers? What are the numbers? What are the stats? So on impact, and I was testing these Legionnaires on impact against hoplites, your standard citizen and mercenary hoplites, they're up 150 on impact. Against warbands, your standard warband, close order warband, they're up 40 on impact because they've got better quality. Against pikes, they're up 50, again because of their quality. Superior warband, they're just down 10, but then they bring it back in melee. And veteran spear, this is quite surprising, but the African veteran spear, which are really, really good units, they're up 100. They're up 100 on impact. So they are awesome, really. And even though they're down 10 on impact against superior warband, in melee, they're up 25 against superior warband. They're up 75 against your standard warband in melee. They're up 25 against hoplites in melee. And they're down 50 against the African veteran spear. But, you know, they were up 100. And if you're up 100 on impact, you've got a great chance of disrupting units. So you've got to take that into account as well. And the other thing that came up in my tests was, even though pikes get the plus 100 for being deep pikes, which means that the Legionnaires are down 25 in melee against pikes. In my test on impact against pikes, I caused 55 casualties on the pike unit that I was facing, and that dropped the pike POA down, that deep pike POA down to 77 straight away. That was in just one turn. On impact, it caused about 55 casualties, and so the pike POA went from 100, that deep pike POA, to 77, which meant that after impact in melee, the pikes were only up 2 on these guys, and that is in just one turn. The pikes have lost their 100 and they've gone down to 77, which, you know, that's quite something. So anyway, basically they're really, really good troops. And we've also got the elite level Legionnaires, which have got plus 100 for their superior quality. So best way I think to use these guys is to try to zoom in and go head on against the enemy's better units, because against the poorer quality units, you're going to kind of waste your advantage, because there's only a certain limit. I forget what the limit is exactly. Is it around 200 or so, 250? There's a certain limit that you can't go beyond. So if you're a really, really great unit and you've got, you know, plus 300 or 350 or whatever it is, the game only takes into account, say, about 250. So it's much better to use these guys on the enemy's good units, veteran African spear, Legionnaires, superior warband, and so on, because then you'll get your advantages over those units. As backup, we've got some mediocre Roman Legionnaires. They're pretty decent, really. Their impact, their average and armored, so at 51, these, even though it says mediocre, they're really pretty good, to be honest. They're like an upgraded version of the Imitation Legionnaires, which are pretty good as well. So instead of some armor, you've got armor, completely armored. So they are really pretty good. And these units, I do a top 10, and I'm not sure if I included the Raw Legionnaires, but they would be, if I did a new list, they would be there, because they're only 30 and yet they're impact foot. So they get all that impact advantage and you're only paying 30. So one of the most cost-effective units in the game, to be perfectly honest with you. So absolutely top level infantry. you know, we've got we've got 18 infantry units, and 12 of them are superior or above quality. We've got an elephant, which is fantastic with the Romans. If you're facing an army that's trying to make use of their cav, you can use elephant to deter them, because elephants do really well against cavalry. We've got 2 noble cav, which are great. It'd be really nice if we had a few more, but we've only got 2. But you know, you can't complain. The cavalry with the Romans is just to hold back the enemy cav and try and secure your flanks. It's all about the Legionnaires, with this kind of army. We've got 6 skirmishers, which isn't terrible. Again, you know, I think with this army, it's a hammer army. If I'm playing with the Romans, I just want to get going with the infantry as soon as possible. No messing around. Just go in, use your impact. All our infantry are impact troops. And use your superior quality, because really in classical period there's not that many units that are superior quality or even above average, and even if there are, I think with the Carthaginians as an example, I think that Hannibal and Italy list that I covered, if I remember rightly, I could only take 6 of the veteran African spear. That was the max. So we've got 10 here, Legionnaires, plus the 2 veteran Legionnaires. So we're just going to have better quality troops against most armies, almost any army actually. Win rate, I had a look at the record, and it's 50%. It's about 300 games played. And it's about 50%. You might think that's not great, but it's about the standard, or a little bit above the standard actually, because, or average, because quite a few armies, a lot of the pike armies are around 45%. I think Macedonians are around 42% win rate, as an example, Macedonian 320 list. And I think Lysimachid's around 46% win rate. So 50 is actually pretty good as an average for the armies in the league. My rating, what am I going to give this? It's going to be pretty high. I think am I going to go A? I think I'm going to go A. Yes, we're lacking cavalry. We don't have that many skirmishers, but when you just look at how many Legionnaires we can bring, and even this elephant, and all of the impact foot you've got, and even the 2 elite level units, it's going to be hard to beat this army. I mean, I haven't really looked. I mean, to be perfectly honest, this is the kind of army that I want, because I am focused really on the Legionnaires. But I suppose, you know, one thing you could do is maybe if you wanted to take out a veteran Legionnaire. I mean, they do cost 96. I'd probably keep one. And what could we take? We could take maybe even 2, and we could even take 3 units. I mean, you could go either way really. If there was a lot of rough grounds, then instead of the raw Legionnaires, I would take irregular foot. But again, that's pretty neat. I mean, that takes us to about 20 infantry units now. And again, all of these units here are impact. You know, these Spanish troops are impact foot. The Royal Legionnaires are impact foot. there's got a lot going for it. And yeah, we can just take, you want to maybe use some extra medium foot for rough ground, you can do it. So yeah, I think about an A is a fair rating. Infantry, it's going to be hard to stop the Romans. You're going to have to try and get around the flanks against them. Also, with this list, one slight disadvantage is some of those other Roman lists, they have the spearmen. They've got the superior quality Roman spear, which are great, because what do they cost? About 44 something, 40 something like that, 42, 44, and they're great at holding flanks against cav while the legionnaires do their business. But with this list, we don't have those spear, so you'd just be using medium foot. But some of this medium foot is perfectly okay, and actually even irregular foot, in my experience, I was really surprised how well it does against cav, even in the open, and that's because they're light spear. So they, against average, noble cav or armored cav or anything but lancers, really, they can actually do pretty well. So yeah, about an A from me. It's one of the best armies in the league and in this period. If you played with this army, let us know how you did, and if you're playing now against it, then let us know how you're doing. But yeah, about an A from me, and thanks a lot for watching. See you again soon.